So that just happened. The Mavericks came back from 21 down to beat the Clippers off of an insane Luka Doncic three-pointer that had me losing my mind on Twitter. We have a 2-2 series. Porzingis did not play in this game. You can argue that if Porzingis was not wrongfully ejected in Game 1, then the Mavs could honestly be up 3-1 right now. To be fair, you have to take into account that Pat Bev has not been playing, but here's the reality, man. Dallas can pull off this upset. I mean, with Paul George looking all the way in his own head right now on offense, where he's just missing shots and sinking into the game of levels that are unacceptable for someone who's being paid as much as he is and for how much they had to trade to get him. And on defense, he's just getting beat. I mean, how many times have Seth Curry and Tim Hardaway and Trey Burke just beaten Paul George in a straight line drive dribble? I mean, this is supposed to be one of the best wing defenders in the league, and I don't know what he is right now, but it's not Paul George. And if this keeps up, I mean, not only could they lose in 7, they could lose in 6. I mean, you're not going to get, maybe you could get another 30 bomb from Lou Will, who has been proving me wrong in this series so far. But, I mean, I just have no words. I have no explanations. I usually try not to buy into the whole, succumbing to the pressure thing, but what else is it? I mean, Paul George just looks lost out there sometimes. I don't know. I mean, you can only go so far with the Clippers only played so many games with all their healthy guys or whatever. I mean, that's fair. Paul George is still a very good basketball player, and he's not even doing the basketball thing right now, So I don't know. The other thing to talk about with Dallas is the confidence that they have. I mean, Seth Curry, Trey Burke, who had one huge play tonight where Luka airballed a step back and then he got the offensive board and then hit a three. Tim Hardaway, if I didn't mention him, Seth Curry. These guys firmly believe that not only do they have a chance, but they think that they're the better team. I really believe that they think that. And the amount of times that those guys are able to get by their defender and then hit these pull-up 15-footers, I mean, that was a huge reason as to why Dallas was able to hold on without Luka in the beginning of the fourth quarter. Now, Trey Burke had some big threes. Tim Hardaway stepped into a huge contested three-pointer in the middle of that back-and-forth three-point barrage that the two teams had. But yeah, man, Dallas, they really believe that they're in this. I think Dorian Finney-Smith and Michael Kidd-Gilchrist have done okay enough jobs if it hasn't been noticeable enough. Maxi Kleber, so Kawhi is still getting his points, but I feel like Kleber has done about as good of a job as you can ask on Kawhi. He's making him take those jump shots, and he's just making them. I mean, I don't know what else you really want. If it's a pretty good contested 15-footer out of Kawhi, you'll take it. So I think Kleber's doing a good job there. And then on the other end, Kleber, he hasn't been making his threes like that, but because Kleber is a threat from outside, the Clippers have to care about him, and it's just spreading the floor so much. And, the Clippers, they did a really good job, I felt, in the fourth quarter of not just giving Luka the easy switch onto Lou Will. It didn't happen in the last possession there, of course, but it seemed like they kind of locked in defensively a little bit more when they went to the small lineup there. And maybe they just have to go to that more often. I don't know. When Kawhi was on Luka in the fourth quarter, Kawhi had some pretty good success stopping him. Now, there were other times in the game where Luka got by Kawhi. Kawhi is not the 22-year-old who can be a defensive menace every second of the game anymore, especially when you need him to play 47 minutes and score 32 points for you. But he can channel that energy for stretches, right? And you might need him to just do that for a few more minutes moving forward here, because I don't know how else you're going to slow down Luka. He sees everything. He predicts the open guy the second you bring the help. He's got a photographic memory of the type of defense you're going to play and the rotations that you're going to make. I know it sounds silly to say this now because he just hit the insane shot, but you might be able to bait him into some more step-back threes. His percentages overall on those are not good. Of course, he airballed a couple of them tonight, so for whatever that's worth. Whenever the Clippers have defended Luka on screens. Like they did an okay job of not giving him the Lou Will switch. But when they're running the more conventional stuff, when like Harrell's out there or when Zubats is out there, they're just killing him every time. I mean, Luka gets that high screen, which is what I'd like to see the Lakers do more with LeBron. He gets a bit of a running start, and then from there it's just, okay, who's open, what's the right play, and he makes the right play like basically every time. And the resistance on these screens is not really there. And not just for people not named Kawhi. I mean, again, Kawhi brought it when he really needed to late, but you can find possessions there where Kawhi's on Luka, they bring up Kleba or Boban for a screen, and Kawhi's gone now. So yeah, I mean, the one thing that I would say, like I did earlier, like maybe you just have to go small more often and not just save it for the last couple of minutes there. The other thing to think about is the fact that Porzingis did not play. And through 3 games, Porzingis has been pretty damn difficult for the Clippers to deal with. I mean, game 1, before he got ejected, his performance wasn't amazing, but he only played 19 minutes. You assume he could have still gotten some big shots off. The last 2 games that he's played, he's been great. And I think he's going to continue to be a bit of a mismatch problem. I mean, they usually put like Paul George or Kawhi on him because they don't want to put Zubats on him. But when you've got Porzingis out there with Kleba, and you can really just go 5 out, and Porzingis is a nightmare no matter who's trying to close out on him and stuff, and you've got Luka just seeing everything you're doing defensively, like, the Clippers are in for it, man. And, I mean, you know, they could still win this series, but they got to be good, and Paul George just has to be better. I mean, if Paul George keeps shooting the way he is, or even if he puts up like 14 or 15 a game and it's kind of whatever, they really could lose this series. I mean, I know that I've kind of slotted myself into this Clippers hater role, but this is, I mean, it's a 2-2 series. Like, this is not me hating on the Clippers. This is me just saying this could really happen. I'm thinking about the Porzingis versus the Clippers small lineup now, and I'm trying to think of, you know, you could get Porzingis, somebody switched onto him, and he can go to those like 13-footers that he makes for the most part, and whatever else. And Porzingis, of course, can go off the dribble against these guys. Yeah. The other thing to think about in these last couple of games is the Doc versus Carlisle back and forth. I mean, Carlisle's the better coach, and I don't really have a prediction of specific plays or matchups or whatever that either team could think of outside of kind of what I've already thought about. But that's something to remember as well, is in the playoffs, it can be one guy playing too many minutes. You know, like we kind of saw it in the last play there, Reggie Jackson defending Luka. Like, what? Excuse me? I mean, if you were going to go for the all-defense lineup, which is what you should on that one play, your lineup is Kawhi, Morris, Paul George, JaMychal Green, and probably Montrez just for the sake of size, you know what I mean? But he had Reggie out there, and the contest on Luka wasn't much. Now, it was still a hell of a shot. There's no doubt there. And Shaq being threatened by Luka is really funny. But anyway, yeah, 2-2 series, man. This is real. This is real. Oh boy.